men and women who think that your salvation lies in crossing the Mediterranean Sea to go into other lands are completely misguided. Does it ever concern you, young men and women? There are some of your kith and kin are crossing the Mediterranean Sea, and some are going to the Arab world. Young Chinese are coming into the continent. What is it that the young Chinese, many of them between ages 20 and 35, what is it that they are seeing in Zambia? That today you go to the streets of Zambia, they are Chinese. What is it that they are seeing in the streets of Johannesburg and Cape Town and Pretoria? What is it that they see in South Africa? What is it that they see in Accra, Ghana, in Monrovia, in Nairobi, in Kampala, in Rwanda, in Dar es Salaam that you cannot see? There is something in Africa. Africa is the place that has always been attractive to different civilizations. It was attractive to the Greeks. It was attractive to the Jews. It was attractive to the Turks. It was attractive to the Portuguese. It was attractive to the British. It was attractive to the Germans. It was attractive to the Belgians. It was attractive to the French. It was attractive to the Arab. There is something in Africa which makes her the receptacle of some of the greatest things on earth. And it is your duty, particularly you young men and women, to ensure that if Africa is not going to be enslaved again, and she can be enslaved, I'm already beginning to see the signs of Africa's enslavement. You know, I used to wonder, how is it that Africa was colonized? There are few white men, whether they were of German extraction or Dutch extraction, would come into the continent of Africa, and within a few years, they had conquered all of us, and we were enslaved, and if we were not enslaved, we were colonized. How did it happen that such a minority conquered us? I now understand. It started in the same way that I now see the Chinese coming into Africa. Slowly. We laugh at them. We laugh at it. But in 50 years from today, we'll not be laughing at it. You even today see images of some of the pain these are visiting upon our young people. If it is not in Kampala, it's Nairobi. And if it is not in Nairobi, it's in Senegal. You see the Chinese coming here, and in every university, they are opening the Confucius institutes. If it is not at a university in Nairobi, is at a university in Zambia, because they know that the mind is the standard of the man. Don't you now see in some African airport that the signage is in Chinese, not in Luganda, not in Yoruba, not in Kiswahili, in Chinese? These are some of the early signs that once again, if we are not careful, we are going to be mentally captured. And I'm telling you, therefore, to go out there as young men and women and begin to recognize sooner rather than later that is your duty to think like Africans. What is Togo in the scheme of things? What is Cameroon in the scheme of things? What is Lesotho? What is Eswatini? What is Zambia? What is Cabo Verde? What is Comoros? What is Seychelles? What is Kenya? What is Burundi? What is Rwanda? Kwame Nkrumah was right. As long as we are divided, we are always going to be manipulated. It is you young men and women who must now knock down those mental boundaries. And remember that these boundaries were artificially created in Berlin in 1884. And the reason why they were created was for the benefit of the colonizer, so that the Germans could have their territory, so that the Italians could have their territory, the British their territory, the Belgians their territory, the English their territory, the Dutch their territory, the French their territory, and the Portuguese their territory. We inherited them, And you now go to an African country. I travel to South Africa and I need a visa. I travel to Namibia and I need a visa. And a young girl or a young boy at the airport asks me, what have you come to do in Windhoek? And in the same line, he or she sees a white man and rushes to serve him, saying, sir, how can I help you? Welcome to Namibia. Mental slavery. We must decolonize our minds. We must begin to think differently. See an African and remember that Togolese means nothing. Remember that Nigeria means nothing. What means something is that we are of African origin, and the beauty of Africa is the uniqueness of our diversity. The God that we worship is a God of diversity. If you understand that, then you will understand that your duty is to serve in the continent of Africa. There is a young man who is my friend and my mentee, called Osman Toure. He is from the Gambia. The young man said something which I would want you to consider. He had the opportunity of going out in Europe to study, but he chose to leave his country, the Gambia, and is now studying as I speak in Rwanda. That is the kind of confidence that I would want us to have in our institutions. You can go to the University of Lagos. You can go to Cheikh Anta Diop University in Dakar in Senegal. You can go to Agostino Neto University in Luanda in Angola. You can go to the Walter Sisulu University in South Africa. You can visit the University of Mpumalanga. You can go to the university in Dar es Salaam or Makerere. You don't have to go out there and tell me I went to Harvard. I went to Cambridge, and you tell me that Harvard is the best law school in the world. Which law do they teach? Do they teach Zambian law? They are only good in American law. And yet, because of your mental slavery, you believe that that is the truth. We can now look elsewhere in the world and begin to see what is happening. You go to Vietnam, which was at war when I was a Form 1 student. You go to Vietnam now. Vietnam produces more coffee than all East African countries combined. You go to South Korea, which was at war in 1953. Today, when you buy a phone, whether it's Samsung or whether you buy a Hyundai, is from Korea. You go to China, which was a backwater country only a few years ago. Look at every item on your desk, even as I speak. Half of them are made in China, including the toothpicks that you have used after you have taken your lunch. Why? Because they have faith in themselves. When they come to Africa, they are not running away from Africa. They are coming to Africa to work for their country and to return the money back to their kith and kin. But I've seen young Africans boasting, I cannot have my child born in Africa. We live in a continent where some in the middle class, when their wives are expectant, they go to the United States so that their children can become citizens of the United States of America. What kind of a people are we? What kind of a people are we? We must ask ourselves. If we want to be respected by other civilizations, we must demonstrate by word and deed that we have faith in ourselves. This is the mother continent. This is the continent where all civilization came. Let us make her proud again. Let us make this continent proud so that in 20 years from today, the promises that African politicians have made on our behalf in Africa Agenda 2063 will become true. Let us make it true so that the promises that we have made to ourselves under the African Free Continental Free Trade Area will become true. Let us make it so that Africa can feed herself. Let us make it so that the cocoa that is produced in Cote d'Ivoire, in Togo, and in Ghana does not go to Switzerland, which does not produce any cocoa and yet is the greatest exporter of chocolate in the world. Let us add value. Let us ensure that the rubber that is produced in Liberia is used to make tires in this part of the world. Let us be a country that can make our own medicine and our own vaccines. Let us be a country and a continent that can feed ourselves. Let us be a country that can mine iron and mine gold and refine it. Let us be a country that can, a continent that can make things that will suit our people. And I'm using the word country deliberately and continent interchangeably because I look forward to the day when the words of the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah will come true and we will be able to say that the borders that we have are only good for purposes of administration, but I'll be able to travel from Dakar in Senegal to Djibouti in Djibouti and nobody will ask me for a visa. That I'll be able to have one currency. Today, Africa has no less than 33 currencies, none of which is considered as hard currency. You who are in West Africa, if you move from Ghana, you fly for 1 hour, you are using a cedi, you go into Nigeria, you are using a naira, you go to Togo, you are using CFA franc, you move from there, you go to Angola, you are using Kwanza, you leave Angola with your Kwanza, you go to Zambia, you are using the Kwacha, you go to Malawi, you are using the Kwacha, you go to Mozambique, you are using the Metical, you come to Kenya, you are using the shilling, you go to Ethiopia, you are using the birr. While in China, a population of 1 billion, they are using only 1 yuan. The United States of America, $1. 27 countries in Europe, only 1 euro. We must retool. We must begin to think differently. The 54 visas that we must use, we must obtain, or 54 passports must be replaced with 1 passport, as the leader said in Kigali in Rwanda. It can't be done. And it's only you young men and women who, through organization, can bring pressure to bear on the political leadership so that they may begin to do the right thing. Remember that most African political leaders like us the way we are, divided as we are, so that they can continue to reap and rape Africa, as we have seen in the history of this continent. Part of the pain that has been visited upon Africa has not been by the colonialists, but by their hirelings and acolytes whom we made presidents post-colonialism and post-independence. So it is our duty as we look to the future to remember that this is the mother continent. But when I look at Africa, I can see certain good things that are happening, and I travel across Africa sufficiently to know that they are good things. Sufficiently to know that when I go to Namibia, I see good things, that when I go to Botswana, I see some good things. When I go to Rwanda, I see certain good things. I go to Dar es Salaam, I see certain good things. When I go to Malawi, I see certain good things. I go to Ghana, I see certain good things. I go to Senegal, I see certain good things. It is these good things that we must focus on. And lo and behold, I have no doubt that it shall come to pass. And this continent will be where it ought to be, in the dinner table of human civilization, respected as she should. But the burden is yours. If you don't work for it, if you don't work at it, if you are not sacrificial about your contribution to Africa, Africa will always be in the lower rungs of human civilization. Let us today take a solemn vow as we remember those little children, primary school children in Soweto, on that 16th day of June 1976, they paid the ultimate price with their lives, so that if South Africa is free today, is free because the tree of freedom was watered with the blood of those young men and women. Speaking both literally and metaphorically, you too offer your blood and sweat for the sake of the mother continent. God bless you.